Greetings, friends. Good to see some people getting in here. Always lovely hanging out together. Might not be in real life, but it's what we have, and I love connecting with you all. I love talking about interesting things. I couldn't think of anything more important in my life than to talk about things that I feel are the most important things to talk about. I hope that a lot of people who I am connected with in the internet world feel the same. We've all got to have a passion, we've all got to have an interest, we've all got to have motives in life, we've all got to be something that we came to be and do something that we came to do, and not do things for other people without doing things that we desire to do, like we came here to do our thing. So, yeah, once again, it's really nice to be connected to you all, and once again, even though it's not in real life, what is real life? Well, it's like a reel. It's like this motion picture that just plays, and you just sit back and watch. Just like the mushroom, the motion picture of the mushroom. So, yeah, I just wanted to answer some people's questions. I get, since studying Ranger Amanita, I get a lot of questions. And so there are a lot of people out there in the world who I would class much more professional than me in the field of mycology, or even in regards to the study of amanita. So one thing I'm definitely doing, and one thing I'm definitely passionate about, is like when I'm doing orders and when I'm talking to people about things to do with amanita, like I'm always learning new things. I've got a lot of information coming in, and I'm dedicated to that. I'm dedicated to just knowing as much as I possibly can, and being able to like siphon the information down to people who, I don't know, like some people don't have time to sit and read and go through peer reviews, and whether it be pharmacological or whether it be like private reviews on the substance. So something that I've got a lot of time to do, something I'm very passionate about doing. And so my goal is to bring as much useful information as I can. And yeah, so I just wanted to start off someone's question. Well, actually, it wasn't a question, it's just something that really really stands out to me. It's the intention of the amanita. A lot of people ask what the difference between cubensis or psilocybe cubensis and amanita muscaria or other strains of amanita have in comparison with each other, or what they have as a difference between each other. And I think one of the most important things is the conditions that they grow in, which was someone's question. Someone wanted to know what are the conditions she grows in. So like cubensis, for example, like psilocybin mushrooms, they most of the time, if not all of the time, grow out of decaying matter. So whether it be the sacred union of cow feces, debatable as to whether that's how the cow got its name of being sacred in the old Vedic texts, which I do believe that it is. And like pine bark is a big one as well for psilocybin cubensis, because it's the decaying matter of pine bark. So when we look at those aspects of psilocybin, it's interesting that psilocybin is known to take people on a venture to come out of the decay of life and see the vision of the reel of motion picture, to just see with clarity. And with Amanita, Amanita is mycorrhizal, so she's ethno-mycorrhizal. Rhizal is the root, ethno is external, and myco is the fungus. So they must have a connection with a symbiotic plant in the relationship. So in the doctrine of signatures that all of the ancient herbcraft people modeled for us today for herbalism, just to look at how it operates, to look at how Amanita operates, she is working to benefit the tree. So you will see that reflected directly in how that fungus works with us. She betters the human consumer or the human user because she works with us. The Amanita works with us, and despite most people's popular theories or what they've been programmed with, most of my life I thought, Amanita, stay away from that. I didn't even know it was called Amanita when I was younger. Like, I just always saw those mushrooms and I thought, that's the one I've been told to stay away from, and that's the one that makes Mario grow bigger. So I don't know what that's about. I'll just stay away from it, because if you don't know fungus, you better run. And that's how we've really been trained to stand our ground these days. We're all mycophobes. We're all scared of fungus. If only we'll know the fungus. So someone's question, actually no, I'll stick to the question of their growing conditions. So birch is a really beautiful example. So the town that I live in, Berge in Lithuania, very similar word in Lithuanian to birch. And everywhere you go here, you just see birch trees everywhere. And one of the sacred union plants of Amanita muscaria is birch, and more commonly known to be pine. So the birch is the bark. The bark of the birch is what the Siberian shamans would wrap their amanitas in, and they would carry them around. They would have birch packs. And one really beautiful thing about the birch tree is a lot of people, and once again, this is something that I've only just recently come into the understanding of. Birch trees, you can tap into them in spring, and they provide a really beautiful sweet water. And it's funny because the birch and the Amanita that work together symbiotically, mutually, the water is so sweet of the birch tree, and it's super, super beneficial for the human anatomy. And the same said about Amanita. So, speaking of spring, all of the snow here has just started to melt in the next couple of days. Like, over the last couple of days and over the next couple of days, we'll have 0.5 meter of snow, which will completely disappear. So we're heading into the entrance signs of spring, which is a week away from now. And the official new year is exactly 1 month away from now. So 23rd of March, the official new year. So what is good for the trees is good for us usually. And that's what I can say about Amanita. In the Codex, or the Doctrine of Signatures, she shows us, through how she operates with the plants, how she'll operate with us. She makes the trees more beneficial in their living. So without Amanita, the birch, the pine, the theatre trees, among other trees that they have that mutual relationship with, they grow much better by having the Amanita grow with them. And there's other types of fungus that will come in and attach the roots to the trees, form parasites, and they'll kill off the trees. And Amanita is not one of them. She is a life bringer, and she brings immortality to the forest. So Another thing as well that I wanted to mention is in their characteristics, there are some years, from what I've come to understand, that they appear more than other years. So last year was a really big year around the world for amanita, and I'm part of like quite a few groups, probably about 50 groups on Facebook, where I'm just constantly observing what people are saying. And last year was a really big year for amanita. We're expecting another really big one this year as well. So I'm really excited, really excited for picking season. We're meeting up with some older locals here who we'll be going into business with in picking season, because we've got a lot planned, and we've only just begun. So, yeah. So yeah, just talking about like they live their own, they've got their own lifestyle. Like they really do have their own personalities. Some years they'll have more growth than other years. There'll be like 10-year spells where there'll just be amanita everywhere, but then for another 10 years they'll just pop up very subtly and slowly every here and there. And the thing with amanita that we have to be careful about is there will be some patches that are much more potent than other patches. So you might find a patch that's got extreme amounts of ibotenic acid in them, and then you'll go and find another patch of a smaller family or a larger family, and they'll have close to no content of ibotenic acid. So tying that into the question that a lot of people ask is, how much is needed to go through the door? And I love this question because the receptor that she works on is literally a door. And it's really hard to answer that question when it comes to caps, because just as I mentioned, there is some caps that have close to no ibotenic acid. They'll always have ibotenic acid being an amanita. However, how much is the content? They're not like psilocybin. Psilocybin, you can weigh 2 grams of psilocybin mushrooms and you know you've got 2 grams of psilocybe. With amanita, you don't know, and there's no way to tell. It's a sure sign that we do have to know what we're doing when it comes to these power plants, because some people, when they use the substance on one occasion, they'll get nothing out of it, and in another instance they'll go back to it 5 years later and I don't know, like they could end up in the hospital, or I don't know how people convert or what people do with their experiences. So it's really hard to comment on everyone's individual experience with her, but every single person that I've had now coming through Ranger Amanita, I've had no witnessing of any bad signs of anything bad happening at all. Just really, really wonderful feedback. And I think that's actually what's exciting me the most, is all of the amazing feedback that I'm getting from people who, like one of our customers, she hasn't been able to go into a shopping centre her whole life. And as soon as her package arrived, just by using small amounts, externally of course, just by using small amounts, she can now go into shopping centres. And that's amazing. Like, I get people who are sending me audios every day, just really needing to send their experience, because I've been able to give them this substance that pharmaceutical industries can't actually create something that doesn't have bad side effects. So for example, people who have extreme counts of insomnia, this is what you need. And I've got to be careful of what I say, because if it's not proven in a pharmacological lab and it's not given clinical trials in a lab through the pharmaceutical industry, it's it's unlawful to say certain things. So in my head, when I'm doing these lives, I'm always in this world of like, fuck, what can I say? What can't I say? And then I think I do all right. Like, I think I walk the fine line pretty good. And yeah, so that's a really big one, that some patches are more potent than others. So if you do get the caps, you'll find that some caps can be more potent than others. Usually the bigger caps are more potent in ibotenic acid. That's a known commonality of amanita. And the reason why I recommend powder, caps by the way is not capsules. I got to put brackets of whole dried mushrooms. It's the hats of the mushrooms that are the caps. I wouldn't do any business with putting something as divine as the sacred mushroom inside of anything that's a cap. Like, I'm just not into that sort of stuff. I'm into the whole form medicine that comes straight from the jungle. So the reason why I recommend powder the most is because having that variation between different potencies of patches, and whether it be lower or higher potencies of ibotenic acid, by having the powder, you're actually balancing that. And I've said it in a previous video before that rather than not knowing what's going to happen, by putting multiple caps together, forming a powder and mixing it all together, you are going to balance the amount of ibotenic acid that you're going to get. So instead of getting an extreme amount of an effect, or a close to zero amount of an effect, you're going to have ibotenic acid that's balanced, that you're going to have an effect. So how much is needed to go through the door? It varies for some people. Like, I know somebody who's used 25 grams straight off the bat, no micro amounts beforehand, and I do not recommend this at all, because there's a chance that she's going to do nothing because you haven't prepared your functions for what is to come, or you're going to go to hospital. So yeah, I don't know how this person that I'm very close with didn't go to hospital. I don't know enough about what the occurrences are on extremely high doses, so I don't know how to answer that. However, I recommend everybody to start small, because a lot of people say, you know, like, I'm so excited to go flying. However, we need to moderate the receptors in the body and the organs to this substance. So what she actually does, and she's very, very good at what she's doing when she comes in, what she does is, when you take about 0.5 gram in the morning externally and 0.5 gram at night of powder, you're regulating those glands and receptors to be able to clean it out, to purify, to purge. And she's doing something on one level, but you're preparing your body for the mediation of going for the jump through the door or through the portal. And so what I recommend, there are a lot of different recommendations, but what I've recommended to people, and then sometimes they just go out and do their own thing, and that's fine, is 0.5 gram morning and night, and do that for about 7 days minimum. I know people who microdose their whole lives, and that's great, good for them. There's nothing bad about that. People want to use it for health, and that's a really important factor of it. But yeah, like, there's no reason why anyone should be doing heroic doses of 5 to 6 grams when you don't have the mediation of it within your body. So, like, I've got great testimonies of people who have not microdosed and just jumped straight in, but I don't feel that that's what she is about. And even in all of the ancient texts, there is mention of taking the smaller amounts before taking the larger amount. So I think that's really important to honor that there is a method to how it should be done properly. This is just berry tea, by the way. So how do you do it in powder form? Someone has just asked the question. So you can do it however you want, really. You can do it however you want. Whether you prefer water, good. Or if you prefer it without water, on a spoon, just go for it. She's not going to hurt you. She's not going to hurt you. There's nothing to be scared of. And I say that with full confidence because I just know that no one's ever had that problem before. And one thing about plant medicine is when you get to know them on a smaller level, cannabis is a perfect example. How many people do you know that on their first time never smoked in their life and they go and smoke a huge bong at the party and all their friends are laughing? And this is not how we should treat sacred medicine. So while that person has never smoked weed in their life and they go and take a big bong hit and then they end up in the bushes throwing up 3 hours later till they come back to their senses, what do you expect the body to do with something that it's never had inside it before? So my recommendation with cannabis is, for a first-time user, is I'll have a joint and I'll tell them to take a lot of oxygen in with just a tiny little bit and leave it at that and get to know her. And same as DMT. A lot of people say just jump through the window on freebase pure DMT. No. Get to know the substance, get to know who she is and how she operates. So for example, Changa is a perfect one for DMT. It's a smaller amount and you just get to, like I had a friend who was quite scared to go through those astral worlds. I said, I'm going to show you, we're going to go into the forest one day and we're just going to sit in the forest and I'm going to give you a little bit. I'm going to give you a little bit of a dose of Changa and you're going to feel it. Nothing's going to happen, but you're going to feel it. And you're going to see what the mission is and what the intention is with her. And we went out to the forest and we did a really, really light dose of Changa. And he just sat back and was like, so yeah, he gave me his feelings and his experiences about it. Don't really need to go into that. And so I said to him, I was like, see, so that fear of jumping through that portal is because you have to sit there and think, oh my God, like I've got to jump through at the start. Like, no, you've got to get to know what we're dealing with. And so Amanita, she wants a relationship. She doesn't want people to just say, all right, see you later, boom, down the hatch. No, it's not how it should be used. So yeah, you can have it however you want. Rub it on your toes. I prefer, when I make tinctures, I prefer to use caps. Powder is the same thing really, but I prefer to, like when I strain it, the caps just go straight away, but with the powder it's a little bit more gluggy. So, and once again, like there's no difference. Like if you already have powder, you can make tinctures that are equally as powerful. Is it an out-of-body experience when you go through the door? Every dream state is. And so, talking about going through the door, so there's pharmaceutical companies that have, it was in 1977, there was a pharmaceutical company that synthesized muscimol. So muscimol is the active compound in amanita, and she's what's doing most of the work. There's multiple substances there's multiple alkaloids in this creature that are working together, but muscimol's the most noted for doing most of the work. So there was a pharmaceutical company in 1977 that created a chemical called carboxydol, and they synthesized muscimol. And I've got all of the case examples and studies that have been done and all the book references that they come from the clinical trials that they've done in pharmacy since 1977 to until 2006. And it's so phenomenal how, like, the reason why they synthesized muscimol to create carboxydol was to work for Alzheimer's and spasms. So people who have really bad muscle spasms, it was an instant cure for it. And that was through clinical trial. And do you know the reason why they stopped clinical trials in the US? Because the US is a little bit strange when it comes to clinical trials. The US stopped clinical trials of carboxydol, which is the synthesized muscimol, which is amanita. Because why would the pharmaceutical industry use amanita? Do you know why they had to synthesize it? Because they can't patent nature. So they have to make something that they can patent to say, this is us, we've got it, we've got the key. Do you want it? So, do you know why they stopped the clinical trials? So many people were enjoying the effects of it. And, you know, when the FDA uses the terminologies that they use, when they use the term hallucinations, they're talking about going through the door. So you don't see demons walking through the wall and coming to gouge your soul out of your body and drag you through the lower temples of hell. It's not what this substance does. She's a teacher, and she's a doctor, and she forms you into a medical student, because when you have this relationship with Amanita, she will take you to extremes of learning through the jungle. Because if this one beautiful fungus, the amount of people that I'm now able to connect people to have this beautiful relationship with her, I don't care if people come to me for the products or not. That's not what I'm doing it for. But we have been able to, we're looking at doing about, in the next year, around 300 kilograms of the fungus in distribution. So we've already gone through around 50 kilograms, and we feel that, I didn't know how the first year would go, but the amount of people that are reaching out that are in desire for this medicine is wonderful. There's actually a company called Psyched Wellness, and they're doing a Amanita. This is a company that they're healing around, well, their claim on their website is that they're healing millions of people a year through mushroom medicine. There's certain countries that won't allow mushroom medicine into their economies yet, or into their laboratories, but Psyched Wellness is working on an Amanita muscaria tincture. But the strange thing is when you go to their website, it's this clear substance, and you'll never see it clear. Like when you're doing work with it, you never see it clear. So what is actually in it? What is in this clear tincture that is supposed to be like all of the ancient people using it? It's the red tincture that it's meant to be. It's literally like when you mix it up, it's like this beautiful bright red color. And so why would I want to go to some major company to utilize their magic when I can make it for myself? I can go to the jungle and get it for myself. Why would I want to do that? Anyway, someone else asked a question of preparation, so I think that answers it a little bit. We're in the time now where 20, 30 years ago, people didn't have the internet. And so I get a lot of people that come onto forums. I just see a lot of people that are coming onto the psychedelic and theogen communities, and they're saying, stay away from this mushroom because 30 years ago, I fucking tripped balls, and the things that happened to me, I never want it to happen to anyone else. And I think these poor people that never had the internet, 30, 40 years ago when they started tripping balls on this thing that they didn't prepare properly, And now we're at the hands of the internet where there's no reason why we can't find out all the information that we need to. I love the internet, and there's actually a really amazing book that I want to recommend by Kevin Feeney. And if you have any questions about this book, I want to link you to it. It's like $50 for the book, $50 US, and it's an amazing book. It's called Fly Agaric, a compendium of history, pharmacology, mythology, and exploration. So Kevin Feeney is amazing. He's done a lot of amazing book work, and I couldn't recommend people to get his book more than what I can. Like, you have to get the book because it covers more on amanita than any book has before, and it's a great addition to the herbcraft student's medicine book cabinet. So I highly recommend that book. And someone asked what the difference is between Muscaria and Pantherina. So I have covered this in previous videos. Pantherina is a bit of a rarer species. She comes for a shorter period of the year, and she is much higher dose of muscimol. However, even though she has a higher dose of muscimol, she's actually got lesser nauseating effects. So she works beautifully. When it comes to the smell and taste, I prefer Muscaria, but when it comes to the experience, I prefer Pantherina. And we will be working hard to make sure we've got Pantherina in stock, as well as Amanita regalis. She's another one, and she's actually one of the most potent strains. She's a little bit more potent than Amanita Pantherina. I love talking about mushrooms. Like, my whole life has changed recently. All I want to do is talk about mushrooms. Some other questions people have asked is sharing with family members around 18 years of age. So someone else commented on this question when I posted it, just mentioning that the Siberian shamans were using it in solstice events around December on the people who are coming to the age of man, which is 12. Believe it, that's when we come to the age of man, and they've stripped that from us in modern society. So I know people in this local area in Lithuania who are microdosing their children at 11. And that's not a bad thing, because if you understand what this substance is, it's what all of the cultures were doing. They were all using, it wasn't just for the grown-ups, it was a health all-arounder for every culture. So someone asked how to overcome the fear surrounding mushrooms. And so my only response is, what has brought you to the fear that you hold within that? I don't know what your traumas are for the last 40, 30, 20 years of your life. I don't know why your favorite music is the favorite music that you hold. And I just don't know what someone's life has been like in order to have the fear that they have. Like, some people fear going from one end of their back door in their house to the back corner of the backyard in the nighttime. Other people will just fly there and feel comfort in the dark. There's a lot of things that counter that, but my only feedback that I can give on that is that she has been persecuted. She's a persecuted creature of the jungle, and everyone has been made to fear her. So ultimately it comes to the fear that's been endowed upon us through the mind control of society. And like, even in the Super Bowl recently, someone sent me this, in the American Super Bowl that happened less than a month ago, or maybe it was 2 months ago now. It was like 4 or 5 weeks ago. I don't know. My timeline's been really interesting lately. I haven't been keeping track of time. Everything's been moving really fast for me, especially since having a baby like 1 month ago, 2 weeks ago. My timeline is out. But in the Super Bowl that happened recently, there was an ad that came up in the middle of the Super Bowl, and someone held up the amanita muscaria and said to his family, "This mushroom won't kill you," and the whole family dropped dead, or one of the people dropped dead. And it was like, this is full-fledged programming that we've all had to face our whole lives. So why is it that we've been given this? There's no fear-based campaigns around psilocybin mushrooms. There's no fear-based campaigns around cubensis or liberty caps or any of these other mushrooms. It's amanita muscaria that they want us being scared of the most. Do we not see it? Do we not feel it? It's fucking insane, and it makes me really angry, especially doing what I'm doing. But it also gives me like this whole new motive and passion into what I need to do to break people out of that. So while everyone's running around saying, like in the middle of the Inquisition right now, the last thing I want to hear from people is like, we need to go vegan, because it's like, man, if veganism is your focus, good for you, but you really don't know what's going on in the world. You need to like reestablish what your mission is, because we need our focus on other areas. Like, I really feel that working with Amanita in this time that we're in, when everyone's going into lockdown in their homes, no better medicine to work with while you're in refinement, in order so that you might find out what you want to do when you get out of lockdown. Use it on an empty stomach, or eat a small snack or meal first. Do what you want. A lot of people eat Amanita as a snack and a meal. They boil the ibotenic acid away and they use her as a meal. It's like there's a lot of fungus or mushrooms in the world that are up the very top for their ability in taste and what people desire these mushrooms to be. Like, there's a lot of famous mushrooms that are really world-renowned for having the best taste as mushrooms. Like, Amanita, cooked, tastes so much better than any of your store-bought mushrooms. And that's a big sign of what they are. But the interesting thing as well about Amanita is when you're foraging for her, she's always close. Like, if you, like mycologists that go, or just people who go mushroom picking for their seasons, like in Lithuania where I live, in spring season, or even in the later parts of the year, you see cars all throughout the bush areas, because, and I've never seen this coming from Australia. A lot of people go bushwalking, but in Lithuania, it's a really big thing to go mushroom picking, and it's a really beautiful thing to be surrounded by. But one of the common features of Amanita is people use her as a reference point. So when they see the Amanita muscaria, that bright red fungus with white spots, they know that the Puccinis or the Buttavikas are around, which are like, the Buttavikas in Lithuania are like the best tasting mushrooms you can get. They're the most expensive that you can buy here. So there's a lot of people that go to the forest and they go get the Buttavikas and they sell them at the markets. And but it's funny how Amanita nowadays has just become a referencing point to these other mushrooms. It's the same as the pineal gland. The pineal gland is in medicine only a reference point. Like, it's not acknowledged as any spiritual gate in the body. It's in radiology, the pineal gland is a reference point to other areas of the brain. So it's not what does it do, it's what is it close to. And they use the pineal gland as a reference point, how we're using Amanita as a reference to other mushrooms. But the Amanita, in my true feeling about the subject, is that she is the most powerful medicine in the world. And if you're someone who goes to Google for your information, you're going to find some horrible information. Why do you think that is? Who do you think runs the internet? Who do you think moderates the responses on the internet? So you think that they've programmed you your whole life to fear Amanita, but you're going to find the most accurate responses as one of the first 50 responses to your search on Google? No, not at all. Not at all. And So yeah, like I've had a lot of responses from people who've been using it for quite a long time, and they are loving it. And I've got testimonies from people whose lives are changed now just in 1 month of having it. And yeah, like it's I'm really happy to be doing this. I wouldn't want to do anything else, like at all. And when we came to Lithuania, our goal was to set up a mushroom lab, and that's still on the plans today. It's still what we're going to be doing this year, but I never thought that we would be doing amanita distribution through reindeeramanita.com. Like I never thought that's what we were going to be doing, and it's just working out really well. Use DuckDuckGo. Yeah, probably people probably should use alternatives to Google, because Goggle is just the most ridiculous search engine on the planet. Every time you search for something, it's all bullshit. So yeah, just going back to that, sharing with family members around 18, according to the ancient cultures, they were all using it younger. And no, I'm not telling you to go out and do magic mushrooms at the age of 10 or 11. I'm just telling you that's what all of the ancient cultures were doing. All of them. They were all using the mushroom as sacred as she was. So details on do and do not, someone has asked. Yeah, I feel like I answered that question as much as I possibly could on the fear surrounding mushrooms, like how to overcome that fear. Just micro amounts. And I promise you with my whole heart, she will not hurt you. Just rub it on your skin, a little 0.5 gram in the morning and a little 0.5 gram at night. You'll feel amazing instantly. And that's not placebo effect, that's authentic magic. So, yeah. Details on do and do not. I recommend do not see it as a recreational substance. It is nothing that... It's something to reach higher worlds within yourself, and for extreme pains. Like, if anyone's interested in the clinical studies that I was talking about earlier on garboxidol, which is the synthetic muscimol, it's nothing like muscimol because you get muscimol from nature. Why would I want to go and smoke some fucking plastic? Why would I want to smoke the plastic lid off a bottle when I can, like, why are we synthesizing things that come in nature and then calling it, like, we're calling nature alternative. Why alter the native state and call it medicine, and then refer to the natural state as native medicine? That's not altered native state. Western medicine is alternative medicine, and it's the medicine that people should fear the most, because... And there you go. So my pain is gone. Good. And I know that this is how she works. Like, she works. Sometimes you have to use her more than once, but someone in the comments is saying that their pain is gone. And it's not the first time I've heard this in the last month. Like, I've heard a lot of people just saying absolutely amazing things about her, and that, like, when you've been living your life in pain for decades, and she just comes along in one day and cures so much, there's nothing that placebo effect can take into effect of that. Purchased a distiller because of you, and I love it. Awesome. I'm so proud of you, man. Like, everyone should order a distiller. You can get them on eBay, a water distiller. You can get them on eBay for $100. And a lot of people say, like, oh, what's your ideals on the Kangen water filter? Like, I'm just not into it. I don't like such an expensive filter when all you need to do is distillation, because that's basically what the cloud system's doing, is distilling the water through evaporation and cooling and leaving the minerals in the ground, and all the things that they poison our water with stay in the distiller bottom. The amount of shit that the distiller builds up with, you don't want that in your body. And a lot of people say, well, Kangen re-electrifies the water, but do we understand electricity? So when you get a cup of water, get an empty cup of water and get distilled water and run it through the air, through the ether. The ether is electric and water is electrifiable. Every single atom in the water is electrifiable. Every particle of water has a nucleus at the center of it, and it sparks a light when it strikes a water body. That's why waterfalls, when the water falls down, it strikes the bay of water and it lights up in the center of the core and forms, what's the word for it? Sonoluminescence. It strikes a lightning flash, and we know water is electric. So yeah, all you have to do is get a cup of water, empty water, pour it through the ether, and just do it a couple of times. Taste that water. It will blow your mind. And that's showing you the effects of the ether or the air, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, a lot of people are asking, like, do I boil the amanita? You can boil it. A lot of people do, and that's fine. And some people recommend boiling it more than just doing it as dry caps or powder. Either way is fine. Someone commented liver damage, ? Like, apparently there's cases where if you go and eat a fresh amanita, you're going to get liver damage, and I don't doubt that at all. Anyone who goes and eats amanita straight out of the jungle, you're asking for trouble. And I have no, I don't know why anyone would do that. Like, this mushroom's poisonous. But when do you go and eat a raw potato? You boil your potatoes and then you eat your potato and it's no longer poisonous. Why do we see things so differently? Like, why is the potato, why do people go and boil their potatoes and then eat them, but they run from the amanita, run for their lives, so scared of something that's so sacred? The potatoes aren't even good for you. Like, there's nothing good about potatoes at all. That's why it's like classified as a war food, because it's something that people eat when they don't have other food sustenance. Someone commented, I've never felt so whole in my life, and I haven't slept this good in my life. It's amazing, even my husband and children notice the change in me. Beautiful, Pamela. Beautiful. And I really appreciate you commenting that. I appreciate, like, how many comments do people see here that people are saying, like, this has changed my life? It's not me that's doing it. That red mushroom that you all have been made to fear, she is... I know she has an emotional body, and I know she's sad about, like, how would you feel if you were here to heal the world and everyone ran and turned their backs on you? We have to fucking wake up to this madness. It's so sickening and it's so saddening to see, and I don't want to do anything else with my life than just live with my family and do all that stuff. But my purpose now, and I don't see it changing for a long time, is to, like, I found Amanita, and I found she is a cure of so many things. And how we found Amanita is my wife was pregnant. My life partner was pregnant, and we just are both into herbcraft, and I've been into herbcraft for over 10 years. Probably a lot longer than 10 years. And I didn't even know that Amanita was the main cure for the pain of child labour. And that got me really interested, and then we went and made our own tincture, and we both had really bad pains, and we applied the tinctures to it straight away, and boom, like the click of a finger, the pain was gone. So I just knew that I had to take this path and bring it to the world in a way where, like, I'm going to spend my life screaming and shouting until everyone that needs to know about this medicine knows about this medicine. I don't care how many people I have to bring that information to as gently as I possibly can, but there's a lot of people that are just talking propaganda on it, and I need to shake that, and I'm willing to do that, and I'm willing to tell people to shut up and not talk about things unless you're confident and you know in your heart what is true, because most people don't speak from the heart, they speak from what they're programmed with. And yeah, if only we just stop going into what we think is the truth, then we don't have fear surrounding mushrooms, we don't have mycophobes that we don't need, because she needs us as much as we need her. Do we understand that it's not about like, oh no, I'm not into mushrooms? Like, the reason why the world is so fucked up is because we're so distant from the jungle. What is in the jungle? So in the Amazon alone, I don't know like how many people that watch my videos know this, but most people I know do not know that the Amazon is not a natural organism. Like, the shamans made that jungle. It was a forest that was designed. Every single corner of the Amazon was designed by the medicine men and the people, and they made this jungle to be this supplying field of the world's medicine. And that's why the pharmaceutical industry, the Vatican-owned pharmaceutical industry, retrieves 1/3 of the pharmaceutical industry's ingredients come from the Amazon forest alone. You know, so while they're telling us that they've got all these synthesized versions of let's go through some questions. Yep, the brown shit left over in the distiller is staggering. I don't know what questions I've missed here. Can I add ginger to stop the nausea? With psilocybe, it's a really good one. It's like ginger is a nervine, so she helps with a lot of that nausea. I would not stray from recommending ginger, like at any moment, like ginger, whenever you feel like it. You can never have enough ginger in your life. Is the saga of Iran's apple speaking of amanita? Probably. I've never even heard of that, but everything I find that's talking about referencing the apples is always referencing amanita. Yeah, I don't feel like I've missed any questions, so I don't know why you're commenting questions here, please. But yeah, it's really beautiful to hear people's testimonies, like even in the comments. Yeah, got my second delivery today and the third is on the way. She is a lovely, gentle, healing friend. Beautiful. Yeah, I love her. So yeah, I love people. I love, like, if I was to have the world of people in one vision and then the jungles of the world in one vision, and someone said to me, like, take your choice, which one would you keep? I know that they both were together as one, and I know that they both have to come together as one. So I wouldn't be one of those people that said, oh, I just want nature, I don't need people. We need to bring it back together. And the reason why we're so mad as a world is because nomad was the traveler, and the reason why they're not mad is because they travel. So when you migrate, it's migrate. It's great for me because I'm traveling. And when you go and live in a flat, and you wonder why everyone who lives in a flat feels flat, and they're like flat to be around, And people who, like, we need to, like, I know it's really hard during the lockdown, but all of the users of Amanita were travelers. We were all travelers, and good on you, Jamie. I love seeing them. I love seeing them everywhere. There are a lot here. There's so many in the jungles here. And there's a lot of forest here that are only certain pines and the birch. So these fungus just really love pine and birch. And when the pine and the birch forests are working together, and then the Amanita comes into those forests, they come in abundance. And yeah, we know that pine and birch are both medicines. So I want to know more about this medicine. I don't know everything I need to know, but the more I learn about her, the more already that I want to know. Great question, Phil. Should you take yourself away to fully experience it in peace, or would it be okay to rub it on whilst having a family at home? Would my reindeer be too off it or out of it? Yeah, so basically, like, people know psilocybin as that whole thing that just brings on the crazy states of being whilst awake. The best answer I can give to you is when it's children's bedtime, it's not a dissociate, it's not a deliriant, as a lot of people claim it to be. She just puts you to sleep, and that's when the things start to happen. But we only supply for external use, so I'll say that again. So whatever people do want to do with it, it is on their own game, and it's a wonderful world when you can do whatever you want to do. I was actually going to make a post earlier today. Guy in Sydney, Australia. This place I just drove our motorhome bus through 9 months ago, maybe 8 months ago. And this guy was just caught with $700,000 of psilocybin mushrooms in his garage, 56 kilograms. And I went to post it, and this thing on Facebook was like, you can't share any news stories in Australia with anywhere else in the world. It's like, thank fuck I got out of Australia. But yeah, there's so much going on in every country right now. And I'm so thankful of Amanita, because she brings a great awareness to especially those that need that clear vision, that what the word psychedelic is, clear vision, to manifest God within. And I just want to say before I end this video, if there's anyone that I haven't answered their questions in messages, I apologize. However, most of the time, if I've covered something in one of my videos, I will not answer your questions. I put my effort into every video I do, especially my non-live videos. Like, I put so much effort into those videos, I'm just like, my heart is racing before I do those videos. But when I go live, like, I'm just sort of like in another chilled world, like we're all sitting around in a room together. But a lot of people ask me questions on repeat, the same questions. Like, what do you think of Donald Trump? 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 Fuck off. I couldn't care less about Donald Trump, and I said that in one of my last videos. So, like, I'm sorry that I don't reply to all your videos, all your questions, but I do cover as much as I can in my videos. And yeah, I hope this has been somewhat informative. I hope I haven't missed any questions that I needed to answer. I hope you're all looking forward to flying to the moon respectfully. look up garboxidol. It's really interesting because that's something that a lot of people know, is that the pharmaceutical company already synthesized muscimol, but they stopped it because people enjoyed it too much. That's why they stopped the clinical trials. So, yeah, I'm really proud of everyone who's taken the jump to rangeramanita.com, and just people trust me a lot, and I love that. So I have to be really, 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 really careful of what things I'm putting out there, because I only want the best information for people who are using me as some form of channel to find information. And I always say, like, we are the gurus of self, and no one more than Amanita will show us this. No one more than Amanita muscaria and any of the other strains will show us this. There's a reason why psilocybins aren't used as the most culturally significant medicine on the planet. There's a reason why Amanita muscaria is used as the most culturally significant medicine symbolically on the planet. And awesome. It's really, really grateful for everyone tuning in. I hope that I've answered the questions that you've asked in the best ways that I could. And I'll see you all next time.